I think that when it comes to poetry, it's never a challenge to speak in Spanish. I will tell you a funny fact. Only 2 films that I've done have been in competition in Berlin. It was my first film, and my first film was a Mexican film called El Callejón de los Milagros. And so I came to Berlin for the first time with a movie in Spanish. And I come back to Berlin many, many years later in competition, again with a movie that's in English, where Javier and I have the privilege to speak in Spanish again, which is very interesting for me. And I think I am very grateful to Sally, who kept it in our language and was always looking for the truth in the characters. And I don't get a lot of chances to speak in Spanish. And then I get a chance to speak in Spanish in a magnificent film by this amazing director that I'm a big fan, with my favorite actor in the world. That happens also to be a Spanish-speaking actor.
I think for me this film is an extremely special film for me. I've gotten the honor to work with Sally before when I was 13, and now this is our second film together. And when she asked me to, read the script and maybe be a part of it, Javier was already attached, and I never met him before, and obviously, he's Javier Bardem, and like,
scary monster.
But that was something that him being a part of it, for me, it was like, oh, I'll have to be on screen with him, and was not necessarily scary, but I was nervous, to be a part of that, and obviously, and I knew that after reading the script of, a father-daughter relationship and something that's so intimate and sensitive as this particular relationship, that it would be, required that we on some level really have a connection and, do get to know each other. And I knew working with Sally before that she loves to do a lot of rehearsal, not necessarily doing the scenes, but just really diving deep and talking through, honestly, just your life and memories. And I remember a really amazing memory that we had in rehearsals where we were just sitting on the floor. I think I was laying back. I think I was actually sick that day. And you got me, very fatherly, got me a Coke and we were some crackers, and we were talking about near-death experiences. And it really brought us close together of really sharing our memories, and that was before filming. And so when you go right into to filming, we were already kind of there with each other, of almost feeling like two souls, in those couple months in that time frame, which is really what was so required. So we were very much in our roles, I think, on set, even if we don't know that we were, because I'm not necessarily, and you're not either, someone who really stays in the character the whole time, but still there's that sense of connection the entire time. So we were extremely close on set, I would say, and had a really amazing time. I think there's a lot of very emotional scenes and moments that because Javier is the way he is, I felt extremely safe to go to those places and be vulnerable with him. So thank you for letting me go to those places.
I have to answer back to these beautiful actresses, women that are saying those generous things that are all a lie. You guys are in front of us. You don't tell me those things when we are. It's true that when I was playing the father, I was worried to get into a place where I cannot control myself. that's the whole thing. I don't know what's going to happen. And Sally was so generous and brave in allowing us and allowing me to go where I needed to go. And for that, you need a lot of security in the person you are going to play the scene with. And there was no doubt that Elle was going to be there, not only as a daughter, but as the amazing actress she is. And without you, it could have been impossible to do what I did. Whether it's bad or good, I don't know. That's for you to decide. But to go through the journey, because you were always holding me as an actor and as a father. I felt loved by you. Salma. I came for you this part of it. Well, I just want to say something. I was dying to work with you, and to do it in Mexican accent. Oh my God, I was so scared, and you were helping me so much by not laughing when I was.
No, he was very good, but it was very important to him. And I thought, I got used to hearing him speak Mexican. But we're very good friends because he's married to my best friend. And next time I saw him soon after, and he was I was feeling like, what's wrong with you? You know, he really got into the Mexican part of it.
Because this story is very intense, and am I allowed to say that we shot it in 4 days?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
26 days.
No, our story, I think it was
4 days.
4 days. So you really go there and boom. And as you saw, it's a very dramatic story, the one that we're sharing. So there was no time to waste other than jumping into the pain.
He kept saying every morning, "Viva México, cabrones!" I'm like.
Now I'm playing Hernán Cortés. You see, I did, which was good, because that was, I guess, the most challenging for obvious reasons. And then, but when I was working with Salma, I was into the pain of, on the thing of being connected by the true pain and love that story demands. So I didn't really, but of course she was the guardian. She was telling us where are the links between that Leo and this Leo, because he's the same person. So when you forget, she will let you know. Remember, you're the same person. So there are certain things that can be seen that reminds you the same person.
For me, my character particularly, I was just focusing on our story, but also my character is also really about making choices in her life. So for me, I was kind of always in the middle of something while playing Molly. There's, you know, as a caretaker, her work and her personal life is something that comes secondary, but also it could come first. So there's always this kind of balance of trying to calibrate what choices she's going to make, and then, you know, at the end there you do kind of see another version of herself going off in another direction. And so, I mean, the concept to me is just so beautiful, because I think a lot of us always dwell on making the right choices in life, and it's beautiful to think of other yous out there kind of making those choices that you were too scared to make. Yeah, as Molly, she's not a very settled person yet. She's kind of constantly in the middle. Yeah.
What was very interesting, and it talks about the consistent hand of a director and the wonderful synergy that happens when you connect with a director and their mind and their soul, was that I haven't seen the movie. I'm very, very excited. Do you recommend it? Should I watch it? But in my story, that it's completely oblivious of the main story of the film, she, in the rehearsals, and there were a couple of lines, but I don't know if they survived or not. She talks about that in this couple, he might have had a different choice for a different life. And so I did build an important part of my relationship with Javier, even if we didn't talk about it, even if there's no lines in there, with this horrible frustration or deception to herself. Was I the wrong choice for him? Because we're going through pain. And so even if the theme of the movie, I made sure I followed the theme of the movie, even if my story had nothing to do with the rest of the movie. And we were always very respectful also of on what note we ended or started one scene, thinking of her editing. So it was a very unusual way for me to work, because I was part of a story that was not the story of a film, that was a parallel little bubble in the character's brain. And I cannot be aware of that as an actress, as the character. As a character, I cannot be aware of that. But simultaneously, as an actress, without being distracted, I have to be aware of it and respectful so that I can still be part of the film and not completely accelerating them. You know, you understand. I don't know much about it.
I mean, yeah. Okay, I think for me it's like, if I could just work with Sally for the rest of my life, I would, very much. Yeah, she's like, I think, I mean, Ginger and Rosa was a very big turning point in my life. Like, yes, the career, but just as a young woman and as a person, what I learned on that film is just irreplaceable and so precious to me. And there's just something about Sally and how she looks at you. And there's, I don't know, there's this like connection between us that we've talked about, but it's kind of also unspoken, that just thinking about it, you just, I don't know, I get emotional about it. Like, I just love her so much, and yeah, it's like you just want to give yourself over and just surrender, and yeah, you could, I just love her. Yeah, I mean,
I love Elle too.
Yeah.
And when I first auditioned her actually for Ginger Rose, she was 12. And when we were shooting, she was 13, and she was one of the most professional actors that I've ever worked with, and had an extraordinary capacity to dig very deep into experiences that she hadn't herself had. It was like her capacity for using the imaginary to empathize with other people's experiences is quite extraordinary. She's incredibly receptive to direction. She looks at you with this very fresh face, and you make a suggestion, she goes, yeah, and then sort of goes for it, and it makes you feel very light and like everything's possible. And at the same time, she has a detachment. So she has this wonderful blend of going very deep in an incredibly authentic way, and at the same time she can come out of it afterwards. And I've heard her say at the end of a scene where she had to cry a lot and all this kind of thing, at the end, that was so refreshing. So she has detachment. She has the necessary blend of total commitment and detachment and professionalism and a personal quality that is quite extraordinary. So yeah, I love Elle, and I love working with her, and I'm very proud to have worked with her at age 13 and now at age 21. I hope it's not another 7 years before I'm with her again.
yeah.
I think actors, we are, I heard something that I loved, which is like the difference between an actor and actress. and a person who has lost his or her mind forever is that we have the person who got crazy got one-way ticket. We have, we always come back. Yeah, sometimes we stay a little bit too much on the terminal.
Yeah, some people just
a little bit too long on the terminal. But we end up coming back. And what do we come back for? To family, the love that we feel for our loved ones. It's the thing. And the story is about that. When he comes back because he's loved. That's how important love is.
Busier than you've ever been in the last couple of years?
Yes, I was going to ask you the same question. Since you analyze this, it's funny because I was thinking about the first time I came to my first movie ever. That came to Berlin. It's called the Alley of Miracles. Okay, and then now I come back. And it's not the alley, but it's the roads not taken. And it was very interesting because my entrance into this business had to be, it was a miracle because for somebody coming from where I came from, a miracle had to happen for me to actually get here today. And the roads not taken had to do with some good choices that I must have made in my life. I think as a human being, as a woman, because they were brave. And I could have stayed in Mexico doing novelas. And it has to do also with the faith of, I was convinced that things were going to change, and I wanted to be a part of it, to be a part of the change. It would have been unheard of for a woman in her 50s, in her 40s, to be consistently working when I started. And somebody with an accent that doesn't have English as a first language, it would have been unconceivable for anybody to think that would be consistently working. And that it would have also, probably, it was not something to think about that our stories, because our story in this movie, it's part of our stories as, Spanish-speaking people, our cultures, would be a poetic centered, piece of a bigger poetry that it was not gonna, that talks about something universal, that is intricate to the rest of the universe in this movie. We were usually coming and going not in very dignified positions or stories, or not necessarily treated with respect. And so, I don't know what was the road that took me here. I am more kind of clear about the roads not taken that took me here.
Finally,